Samantha had been hesitant about online dating, but after some convincing from her friends, she decided to give Tinder a try. She created a profile, uploaded some pictures, and wrote a short bio about her love for cooking, books, and cats. Soon, she was swiping left and right, exploring the world of online dating. After a few days, she matched with a guy named Chris. His profile was filled with photos of him playing guitar, hiking, and cooking. They started chatting, and Samantha found Chris to be sweet and interesting. After a week of messaging, Chris asked if she'd like to go to a new Italian restaurant downtown. Samantha loved Italian food, so she agreed. The evening of the date, Samantha dressed in her favorite dress and arrived at the restaurant, feeling a mix of excitement and nerves. Chris was already there, waiting with a smile. He greeted her warmly, and they were seated at a cozy table. The conversation flowed easily as they talked about their favorite recipes and travel dreams. Everything was going great until the waiter came to take their order. Chris started arguing with the waiter about the menu, insisting that the chef make a dish that wasn't listed. His tone was rude and demanding, making Samantha feel uncomfortable. She tried to defuse the situation by suggesting they order something from the menu, but Chris wouldn't back down. Eventually, the manager had to come over to calm Chris down. Samantha felt embarrassed and wished the date could end quickly. When their food finally arrived, Chris continued to complain, this time about the portion sizes and the taste. Samantha could barely enjoy her meal, feeling the tension at the table. After dinner, Samantha made an excuse about having an early morning and quickly left. She was disappointed and felt that Chris's behavior had ruined what could have been a nice evening. Deciding to give Tinder another shot, she soon matched with a guy named Eric. He was a teacher and seemed genuinely kind. They messaged for a while before Eric suggested they meet at a local bookstore cafe, which Samantha thought was perfect. When she arrived at the bookstore, she found Eric browsing the shelves. They greeted each other and grabbed some coffee, then wandered through the aisles, chatting about their favorite books. Eric was charming and easy to talk to, and Samantha felt hopeful again. As they sat down with their coffee, a woman approached their table and glared at Eric. "So, this is why you didn't call me back," she snapped. Eric looked horrified and tried to explain, but the woman wasn't having it. She accused him of ghosting her after several dates and causing her heartache. Samantha felt awkward and didn't know what to do. Eric apologized profusely to both Samantha and the woman, but the date was effectively ruined. The woman stormed off, and Eric looked defeated. Samantha tried to salvage the evening, but the mood had soured. They finished their coffee and parted ways, agreeing that the timing just wasn't right. Feeling frustrated, Samantha decided to take a break from Tinder. She focused on her hobbies and spent more time with friends. A few weeks later, while attending a cooking class, she met a guy named Daniel. He was there learning to make pasta, and they ended up partnering for the class. Daniel was funny, considerate, and shared Samantha's passion for food. They bonded over their love for Italian cuisine and exchanged numbers at the end of the class. Over the next few weeks, they met up for cooking experiments and dinners, their connection growing naturally. One evening, as they made homemade pizza together, Samantha realized she didn't need an app to find love. Sometimes, the best connections happen when you least expect them. She smiled at Daniel, thankful for the unexpected ways life brings people together. Megan had been single for a while and decided it was time to try something new. She downloaded Tinder and spent an evening setting up her profile. With a few photos and a simple bio about her love for dogs and cooking, she was ready to dive in. Soon, she matched with a guy named Ryan. He had a friendly smile and loved dogs too. They started chatting, and Megan was thrilled to find that Ryan was funny and charming. After a few days of messaging back and forth, Ryan asked Megan if she'd like to join him for a hike that weekend. Megan loved hiking, so she eagerly agreed. They planned to meet at a popular trail in the nearby mountains. On Saturday morning, Megan packed her backpack with water and snacks and drove to the meeting spot. Ryan was already there, leaning against his car with his dog, Max. Megan instantly felt at ease seeing his dog, a friendly golden retriever. The hike started off wonderfully. The weather was perfect, and they chatted effortlessly about their favorite hiking spots and funny dog stories. Max bounded ahead, sniffing everything and wagging his tail. After about an hour, they reached a scenic overlook and decided to take a break. As they sat down, Ryan pulled out his phone and started taking selfies. Megan joined in, laughing as they tried to get Max to pose with them. Then, Ryan's demeanor changed. He suggested they take a few cool photos for his social media. Megan didn't think much of it and agreed. But soon, Ryan's request got weirder. He wanted her to stand on the edge of a cliff for a dramatic shot. Megan felt uneasy but complied, holding her breath as she stood precariously close to the edge. Ryan took several photos, then moved on to another idea. He asked Megan to climb a nearby tree for a fun picture. When she hesitated, he became pushy, insisting it would look great. Megan finally put her foot down. "I think we've taken enough pictures, Ryan. Let's just enjoy the hike." Ryan shrugged, clearly annoyed, but agreed to keep walking. The rest of the hike was tense, with Ryan barely speaking and occasionally stopping to take more photos of himself, and Megan felt relieved when they finally reached the parking lot. They said their goodbyes, and Megan quickly drove home, feeling unsettled by how the day had turned out. Deciding to give Tinder another try, Megan soon matched with a guy named Alex. He was an artist and seemed genuinely interested in getting to know her. After a week of pleasant conversations, Alex invited Megan to his art show. Intrigued, she accepted. The gallery was small but charming, filled with vibrant paintings and sculptures. Alex greeted her warmly and introduced her to his friends. Megan enjoyed the atmosphere and was impressed by Alex's talent. They spent the evening talking about art and life, and Megan felt a connection growing. As the night went on, Alex suggested they go to a nearby bar to continue their conversation. Megan agreed, and they walked over to a cozy little place with live music. They ordered drinks, and everything seemed perfect until Alex started drinking more heavily. With each drink, Alex's behavior changed. He became loud and started telling inappropriate jokes. Megan felt embarrassed as people around them began to stare. She tried to steer the conversation back to safer topics, but Alex was too drunk to notice. Eventually, he knocked over a glass, spilling beer everywhere. Megan decided it was time to leave. She helped Alex outside and called a cab for him. As they waited, Alex slurred an apology, but Megan had made up her mind. She wasn't going to see him again. Back at home, Megan sighed and deleted her Tinder account. She was tired of the weird dates and disappointing encounters. A few days later, she went to a local coffee shop to unwind. While reading a book, she noticed a guy at the next table sketching in a notebook. They exchanged a few smiles, and eventually, he introduced himself as James. They started talking, and Megan discovered that James shared her love for dogs and hiking. He was kind, genuine, and didn't ask for anything strange. As they chatted, Megan felt a spark of hope. Maybe real connections were found in the everyday moments, not just on a screen. Lena had always been curious about online dating. After hearing stories from her friends about finding love on Tinder, she decided to give it a shot. One evening, she created a profile with her best pictures and a witty bio. She soon started swiping left and right, hoping to find someone interesting. A few days later, Lena matched with a guy named Mark. He was handsome, with a bright smile and adventurous photos from his travels around the world. His profile said he loved hiking, trying new foods, and reading mystery novels, just like Lena. They began chatting, and Lena found Mark's messages funny and engaging. He seemed perfect. After a week of chatting, Mark asked Lena if she wanted to meet up for coffee. Excited but nervous, she agreed. They decided to meet at a cozy cafe downtown. Lena spent the afternoon picking out her outfit and practicing what she would say. When Lena arrived at the cafe, she saw Mark sitting at a corner table. He looked even better in person, and she felt a flutter of excitement. She walked over, and they greeted each other with smiles. The conversation started smoothly, and they laughed over stories about their worst travel experiences. Halfway through their coffee, Mark's phone buzzed. He glanced at the screen and apologized, saying he had to take the call. Lena nodded, sipping her latte as he stepped outside. 10 minutes passed, then 20. Lena began to worry. She looked out the window and saw Mark pacing, gesturing animatedly. Finally, Mark returned, his face pale. "I'm really sorry, Lena," he said, "but I have to go. It's a family emergency." Lena was disappointed but understanding. "Of course, go ahead. I hope everything's okay." Mark thanked her and hurried out of the cafe. Lena sat alone for a while, finishing her coffee and trying to shake off the uneasy feeling that the date had ended so abruptly. Days passed, and Lena didn't hear from Mark. She sent a few messages, but he never replied. Confused and a bit hurt, she decided to move on. She kept swiping on Tinder, though now with a bit more caution. Then she matched with a guy named Tom. He was friendly and seemed genuinely interested in getting to know her. After a week of chatting, they decided to meet for dinner. Lena chose a popular Italian restaurant she loved, hoping this date would go better than the last. When she arrived, Tom was already there, waiting with a bouquet of flowers. He seemed sweet, and they quickly fell into easy conversation. The dinner was going well until halfway through the meal when Tom started asking odd questions. "So, Lena, how much money do you make?" Tom asked casually. Lena was taken aback.
Ido okej.
"Why do you ask?" "Oh, just curious. I think it's important to know these things early on," he said with a smile that didn't reach his eyes. Lena felt uncomfortable, but tried to steer the conversation back to safer topics. However, Tom kept bringing up personal questions about her finances, her family's wealth, and even her past relationships. By the end of the dinner, Lena was eager to leave. As they walked out of the restaurant, Tom grabbed her hand. "We should do this again," he said. Lena forced a smile. "I'll think about it." She quickly got into her car and drove home, feeling relieved to be away from Tom. That night, she deleted her Tinder account, deciding that online dating wasn't for her. A few weeks later, Lena was at a friend's party when she met a guy named Jake. They started talking and hit it off immediately. He was kind, funny, and didn't ask any strange questions. As they danced and laughed, Lena felt a spark of hope. Maybe love wasn't something you could swipe right for. Maybe it was something you stumbled upon when you least expected it.